Okay, today we're going to tie the Glommer hopper, Glommer hopper, and we're going to be starting with some 140 thread, which is medium strength. I'm starting with chartreuse because it's bright and easy to see on the camera, although I'd probably go ahead and use some sort of tan version. It might look a bit better, or white, considering the belly of this fly is going to be white. Okay. Start with a jam knot going to the right, a few wraps to the left, a few wraps to the right. Leave the tag end attached and use that to guide the thread to get consecutive touching wraps as it goes down the hook shank, and you'll get some even nice flat wraps right there. And just go to the end of the hook shank, don't go around the bend. About there should be good, and just trim that off as necessary. And we're going to start with the first material. So what we're going to be using are some foam, and I've got the 1/8 and the 1/16. We can use the 1/16 sheets of foam in brown, this sort of tan color, and also in white. So we can use the white foam as well. So I've got those pre-cut to the lengths of foam, and I basically cut them so the size is roughly the hook gap. You can see I put it between the hook and the gap, and that's the size of the foam I'm looking for. And I'm going to combine both the colors, the white and the brown, together. I'm going to line them up, and I'm going to tie them on about there. I want a little bit of butt section sticking out there as the extended body of a grasshopper. And we're going to leave the thread right there above the hook point. We're going to do a gentle wrap to start with. We're going to pull down quite tightly to 6 o'clock and do another wrap and pull down, a gentle wrap, pull down. Now we can increase the tension, and that should have locked it in place with the white and the brown. Just a few more wraps just to secure this. Lift up the foam, come along, about 3 or 4 wraps, lay it back down again and again. Do a gentle wrap, pull down to 6 o'clock. Gentle wrap, put to 6 o'clock, then do a few locking wraps behind that. Now we're going to advance that along, come along about 3 or 4 wraps, and do the same thing again. This is where all the magic happens. So it's on the third tie down is what we're going to tie on all the materials. So again, gentle wrap, pull down, gentle wrap, pull down. Now it's starting to come together. We're going to do one more later on, but right now we'll leave it as it is. Now we can come in right now, and if you want to trim the tail to make it sort of a body of a grasshopper, we can trim off both sides. As you can see, I'm just trying here, both sides, just to give me a nice point on the back and still give us our segmented body. Okay, next we're going to tie in some red crystal flash. We've got some red crystal flash right here. Just have a few strands. It's a nice color, and it's attracting color. So what we're going to do is line up about 4 fibers, laying them about the length of the hook shank, and tie them down right down that wrap down. Now they want to stand up, so I'm going to take the other 4 pieces too and try and lay them down just a little bit. So we've got all these pieces sticking out. Now we're going to trim the long ones because they're just too long. We don't need that. Okay, I'd like them to lay down, so what I'm going to do is take some elk. So we've got some elk hair right here. I'm going to try and go for maybe the darker browner color like this. I'm going to cut a little tuft of that, and that's going to add buoyancy and also suggest that there's a wing on top of this one. So I've taken a little clump like so, and I'm going to pull off the underfur. We don't want any of that. That will attract water and make this fly sink. We're going to take a little clump like so, and we're going to lay it down slightly shorter than the length of the red crystal flash. Lay it down about there. I'm going to come up gently, come down to 6 o'clock, pull down. It's not going to flare very much, but it's going to give us a little wing on top of the back of that fly. And you want to come in and reduce the bulkage at the front by cutting that off. So now we have what suggests the wings on the back of a grasshopper, and a little bit of red as an attractor color. Okay, right on top of that, we'd like another little piece of white foam. So we've got just a little piece of white foam like so. And I'm going to trim that. I don't need a small piece. And we're going to trim it into a point at one end. I'm going to try and tie that on right above that. It's going to act as 2 things. One, it's going to give us some visibility. 2, it's going to add to the buoyancy. So I'm just going to tie it in right there. Fish can't see it, but we can. So that's going to be a good thing. Adds to the buoyancy and gives us visibility, so I like that too. Okay, moving along nicely. Let's just lift this up, bring the thread underneath. Oops, better do one more thing. We do need some legs on this grasshopper. So what I've got is some black medium round rubber legs. And I've got a few here. And I'm just going to take one and I'm going to tie it on right here on this side. So come in and wrap it in like so. And wiggly ziggle this until it's about the right height. Tie that down. And it's going to dangle like this later on. I'm going to do it on the other side. Take a piece of rubber and lay it right down the middle. Do a gentle wrap. Position it carefully the way you want it. And pull down. Wrap those down nice and strong. Now we have legs on both sides. We can come back and trim those in later on. Okay, remove the legs just to the side and lift up the top of the body of the insect. Move your thread right behind the eye of the hook. Lay it down, move the legs out of the way, and do our final and fourth wrap down. Tie that down. It's going to give us a little bit of a head and a body to it. Okay, looking pretty good. All these things will come together in a minute, so don't worry about this. We can now take off any of the excess we need. Now leave a little bit of head sticking out like this. Suggest that there's a head on the front of this fly. And we can go ahead and whip finish right there. So if you're familiar with whip finishing, I'm just going to do a few of these by hand. If we had the tool, I'd probably use the tool instead, but don't have it handy, so we're just going to go with our fingers instead, and that should hold it in place. Looking pretty good. We can remove the thread, and we're going to trim the legs to be the right length. So what I'm going to do is just grab all the legs, gather them all together, and in the upright position, I'm going to come in with the scissors and just trim them to the same length. One cut, now they're all the same length. The legs should stick out quite evenly on both sides, and that's it. It's called the Glommer fly, and it's a great grasshopper pattern for trout and bass alike. Hope you enjoy. Thank you much.